Welcome to the Social Engineer Podcast, the Security Awareness Series. This is episode 199, almost at that mark. I'm Chris Hadnaghi, CEO and founder of Social Engineer LLC, the Innocent Lives Foundation, as well as the Institute for Social Engineering. I've been hosting this podcast since way back in 2009. And as you always know, this series, I am joined by my trusty co-host, Ryan McDougall. Ryan, nice to have you here.
Hey, Chris. So I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Social Engineer. I'm also the lead open source intelligence trainer for SECom. Taught it multiple years during public and private classes. So I've been all around. I've been in the information technology field for about 24 years now, going on, and focused for the past 10 years on adversary simulation and security awareness.
And excellent to have you here as always. Before we get into our awesome topic, let me have a couple sponsor messages. This episode is sponsored by two different companies. First, Social Engineer, as you know, you hear it every episode. If your company is dealing with any type of attack vectors from malicious social engineers anywhere in the world, you're probably wondering how you can help them learn, be educated, and protect from vishing, phishing, smishing, or any other type of social engineering vector. Run over to social-engineer.com. Check out the things that we do there. You can see our services, our trainings, and we'll be able to help you out. And also, does your organization support Linux servers? If so, then you know it can be a huge task to manage, maintain, and organize vulnerability patching. And this is where TuxCare comes in. Wait, what? You haven't heard of TuxCare? Well, TuxCare takes the hassle out of vulnerability patching, applying the latest patches while your system is running so you don't have to reboot or schedule maintenance windows. That's TuxCare's live patching solution, and it's innovative and automated, and can have add-ons for shared libraries, IoT devices, virtual machines, and so much more. If you want to take the headache out of patch management, then head over to tuxcare.com. That is tuxcare.com. We're really happy to have them as a sponsor of the SE podcast, so go over and check them out. If you like the topic of social engineering, then you should definitely check out our Slack channel. We have over, I think, 1,300 people in there now. They're in there every month talking about all things to do with social engineering. Anything from the psychology of it, just trying to understand it, to people who actually do this for a living, of course, legally. And they come in looking for help with pretext or job ideas or things like that. We even have a job board where we've had a number of people find brand new employment in the InfoSec space because of companies that are coming and posting available jobs. So check us out. You can get the link in the show notes. You can hit Ryan and I up on Twitter, and we'll be happy to share it with you. It's a family-friendly chat, so if you're into that, please come on in. Of course, we keep everything above board and legal. Of course, everyone that's listening, I invite you to go check out innocentlivesfoundation.org. I cannot tell you how proud I am of the team over there. We're now up to almost 500 cases that we've worked on with law enforcement. If you're not familiar with our mission is to work closely with law enforcement to help uncover people who try to anonymously hide on the internet while creating child abuse material or trafficking children. And we've been successfully doing this now for 5.5 years as a nonprofit, helping law enforcement, like I said, up to almost 500 cases. I'm really proud of what's going on over there. And as a nonprofit, we can use your help. So you can go over and support us through your voluntary work, because we always need more volunteers, or of course your donations help keep our mission going. So check us out at innocentlivesfoundation.org. And last but not least, if you're a fan of ILF, then you must be a fan of Clutch. As Neil's on the board, so of course we're happy with that. And the intro and outro music of this podcast, we're graciously allowed to use it from the band Clutch. So go check them out at pro-rock.com. And of course, give them some love as they support ILF so much. And Neil's such a big help there over there too. And check out their new album as well as their tour in 2023. Okay, now let's talk about our topic for today. Today I'm really excited because we're joined by Haseeb Awan. Haseeb is the CEO and founder of Efani Secure Mobile, a company that works with ultra high net worth individuals on their mobile security. Previously, he co-founded one of the largest Bitcoin ATM networks. He has been featured on New York Times, TechCrunch, Wall Street Journal, Hulu, and several other international media outlets. And we have a really interesting set of topics to talk to Haseeb about today. So Haseeb, first, really happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you, Chris, for having me on the show. Really impressive profile and love what you do, right? Because, social engineering is such an art than science in a way that how do many people fall for it, right? Like, surprisingly big firms, right? And how difficult it is to train people, even within our company, and how to tell them that everything could be fraud and everything. So I love the work that you do, smishing around, wishing, whatever terms you have You have invented. I don't know if you have patented those terms.
All the ishings.
Yeah, all the ishings. Sadly, we didn't come up with them. I wish I could take credit for that. We just made them really popular. I think for a long time, especially with vishing, voice phishing, that actually got into the Oxford Dictionary in 2015. But it only is recently that people started adopting it and using it. And it just, once we can label something, it's easier to talk about. But let's talk about something that you talk a lot about, which actually plays a huge part in social engineering, because we see this as an attack vector, and that's SIM swapping. So, from your bio, you started off, you created a huge Bitcoin ATM network, which I'm familiar with because here in Orlando where I live, there's like 80,000 of them everywhere. So they're like every convenience store has a Bitcoin ATM. It's kind of hilarious that you can see them. But how did you get from that to where now you're focused on SIM swapping and helping high net worth individuals with that? Like, where did that path come from?
So ATM is a tough business, right? Wherever there's cash, it's always going to be a high risk business. You're carrying cash around, tens of thousands of dollars, right? Then you add Bitcoin on top of it, so that's like double X thing, right? And so you're carrying around like $10,000 or $20,000. So you have to talk about security, not just cybersecurity, but also physical security. And the biggest challenge with crypto was and is that transaction irreversible. Once the money is gone, it's gone. You can't recover it. You can go to FBI, you can go to anywhere, but no one in the world can reverse a transaction. And that's become a challenge. So our thing was that, and in crypto, there's not a single month that passes without hitting up a hack. There were a lot of attack factor where people were like wishing that you call, where people were asked to go to Bitcoin ATM and transfer money for a tax returns. All those things that used to happen. Even though you'll be surprised, we had a big notices on the machine that this is likely going to be a hack. But people, it baffles me, right? That how many people read it. Did anyone call you asking for money, right? People will say, and the guy said, no, say no, right? And we specifically said that call us for help, but people used to go that. So we went through like pretty much like when you're transacting like $1 billion of cash every year, you go across, tens of thousands of ATMs, you go across a lot of attack vectors. People have creative ways to steal your money. Especially a credit card is easy, right? Like you steal money, you call credit card company, they give you money back. That's easy. But when crypto world is very difficult, it's like a cash, like a digital cash, and within seconds. So one of the easiest ways that people were hacking money was through SIM swap. SIM swap, for people who don't know, they call an engineer, or sometimes they'll bribe it and they'll take away your telephone number and they get into account. So this was getting pretty common day by day. I was a victim 4 times. So I realized that I can have a firewall on my computer. I can have two-factor password manager, everything in the world I can do, but I don't have a control over AT&T or Verizon of the world. Ultimately I have to resort to them, right? So I can set up the MDN in my system. I can set up best firewall on my computer, encrypted everything. But what do I do when a cell phone gets hacked? Like how does Rogers or AT&T, Verizon? There's no absolutely zero control over it, right? And my entire security basically fall something built on. It's you look at an ocean, because I live by the ocean. You have you build a castle of sand, and you look like pretty strong, but till there's a wave and everything is gone, right? So that's what the challenge was. So I realized that there's no cell phone service for for high risk individuals. What will Bill Gates do? I was just thinking about, okay, and I realized they use the same cell phone companies, right? And they were on a family plan, then a lot of those things were, I said, okay, man, that is stupidity, right? If I'm an ordinary person, I'm in a world, I'm like a cockroach, right? Like who do you care about? Like I'm just ordinary person. If someone can come after me 4 times, how are they being attacked? So do they call AT&T or Verizon and hold for 5 hours on the line while they keep on transferring between multiple people who doesn't have an idea about what you're talking about, right? And I said, no, this is a challenge and needs to be solved. So I said I need to fix it myself, because my email was, I think, don't port at Efani or gmail.com or something. So when my number used to get ported, they used to send an email, your number has been ported to an email address, don't port at Efani, gmail.com. Right? And I said, dude, this is actually, my email says that don't port, right? Mm-hmm. And you have all kind of I had all kind of locks that, hey, this is put this lock, ask for ID. But a challenge is that social engineering is very common. There's one person who you have to find out, who just got his job, and he just want to make customer happy. He doesn't want to be, so that was a challenge. So that's why I said I need to set up this company myself, because I don't know no other option. Like I basically
that's interesting to me though. Like that your company formed out of you being attacked
4 times.
Yeah, right. I mean that's almost. I mean, I hate that had to happen to you, but it's almost like the best motivation, because now you're personally invested in solving and finding the solution for this problem, because you had it happen to you 4 times, and you probably lost money and assets and other things during these losses.
Yeah, the biggest thing I lost was my mental health, right? And I'll give you a simple example. Like as a cybersecurity expert, like, you look like you have built a fortress around you, right? You have very big wall. You have like all the ammunition, men come. Like, no one can breach the wall, right? Because I have set it up. This was one thing that I realized was something that I had no control over. Like I have a hardware keys. We use PGP. You can think about solution I've implemented, right? I'm so paranoid that no one in the world have my address. I'm that paranoid, right? That I don't even like my addresses, and even as of today, I changes my address very often. I'm that paranoid. Like I have my virtual email address, virtual physical mails, but there's only 2 people in the world who are me and my wife. That's all. No other person has my address, right? So I'm that paranoid. But ultimately, there was one thing that was getting breached all the time. And that was so I said that we will just focus on high risk individuals on cell phone security. And that's all. We don't give you Netflix. We don't give you Hulu. We don't give you those things. We just give you one thing, cybersecurity. And once we get into SIM swap issues, I know there's a lot of attacks, like phishing attack is a big thing, right? Like SMS spam calls, right? Like why should a consumer get spam calls? Like, it's stupidity, right? Like, why is it, why should I get a text message? Why should I get a FedEx packages? So I realized that if we can build a service which is only focused on security, there may be a demand for it. And so far, like, we are doing pretty decent. And that's about it. And when life gives you, lemon, you make a lemonade.
But you brought up an interesting problem, which is, the issue with SIM swapping is it's not you falling for something. It's your cell phone company. It's the fact that AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile or one of the other providers has a customer service rep that just wants to make somebody happy, so they take the wrong action. So how do you protect against something that is out of your control?
Correct. And the thing is, I spoke to actually a lot of C-level executives in those companies too. And I said, man, a challenge is that we don't make money by selling more secure services. It's actually not good for us to tell, because we can just say, hey, man, this is our term and condition and we're not secure. Like if you look at it, this could not be used for other things. But if we say if we claim that we protect against this thing and we are unable to do so, we have massive liabilities now. So we are okay with saying that we are not responsible for that. And so that was an opportunity. And they said, if average customer comes in, he pays us $100, but a highly secure customer also pays $100. Why would you do something? It's like, you have a customer who wants first class services, but does not want to pay first class prices. So airlines do not want those customers. So similar cell phone companies say, we are okay with losing 1% of our client if it gives us, if it makes us free from 100% of our liabilities.
I mean, that definitely is an interesting take on it. So how does one then stay secure when not only are you battling attackers who are motivated and smart, but you're battling the companies that don't seem to care?
I don't think it's about caring, right? I think about the risk profile, right? Cell phone companies are never meant to be like 10 years ago, we never thought that cell phone would be something that we'd be using for, what we do today. Like it's more of a computer today. We don't buy computers as often as we buy cell phones, and if I have to run right now, I'll probably run just with my cell phone. The part that cell phone have grown into our life is different from what we thought about in the past. So they were not well prepared for that. It's like asking your car is that, why is my car not bulletproof? Because not everyone lives in those risky area. You have companies who make bulletproof cars, and that's what they do. So I believe is that as we have started moving towards things, there'll be specialized company like ours. Like, for 99% people, maybe Gmail is the easiest solution. But for some companies, they may want to have a more secure solution, and they may pay for G Suites and everything. Similarly, not everyone needs hardware key, even they should have. I have a laptop sitting on my desktop right now, which I use from time to time. It's a very secure laptop, which encryption keys and everything, but it's not sexy. It's not like, it's not like very easy to use. It has a special version of Linux on it. Do I use it? I don't use it often. I just use it for critical work. People obviously focus on convenience and cost. And how many people need specialized services? People are willing to give up on multiple things, and that's not the business model. Like, if you want to buy like a steak, you don't go to McDonald's and you don't say that, why does the McDonald's serve the best burger? They are the best position to do so. But no, that's not their business. They are not in business of serving you the best steak burger. They're in business of giving you the fastest food possible. And that's a business model. A cell phone company is to connect to your loved ones the fastest possible, and cheapest way possible. People want to get a cheaper iPhone. They don't care about anything. If you ask for a DNA result, they will give you DNA, and that's the majority of the world. So everyone have a different business model. If it was so easy, then there will be like one company in the world that does everything for everyone. That's why you have Spirit, because Spirit caters to a specific thing. And then you have Delta, and then you have charter flights. They all cater to a different company. But if you look at telecom companies, they're only companies who are cheaper, and then there are companies who are more cheaper. So that's all. Like, you go into like any campaign that you see with a cell phone company, the only thing they'll talk about is price. The cheapest one.
Ryan and I were just talking the other day in a podcast about how security and convenience don't match.
Absolutely.
Right? When you make things secure, it's inherently going to make it more inconvenient, and you have to balance, like, well, how secure do I want to be? Because if you say very, then you're basically saying I need to be inconvenienced at this point, because if I want to be really secure, I'm going to accept a level of inconvenience for my life. That's going to make it difficult. So what is the balance? Like, how does one stay protected from SIM swapping?
It's like a bulletproof car, right? Like, you cannot open a window on a bulletproof car, because that's not how it's built to be, right? So either you want to enjoy your convertible or you stay safe. You can't say I want to be safe at the same time. It's a bulletproof car as well, right? It doesn't work those ways. So similar with security. What I'm saying is that how can we change the least amount of behavior in people's life? So like, they still use Gmail, right? If you ask them, hey, people talk about privacy a lot. Like, I want to be private. But I said, you cannot have a TikTok on your phone and talk about privacy at the same time. It's not impossible, right? If you take an image and you send it to someone, there will be someone who will be able to take the attribution for the picture and look at where the picture was taken. So this is like convenience. So what do you think is, what I say to people is that, man, do a couple of things. Please have a password manager. You don't want to pay $10 per month, just go for a free one. Which one should I get? Any among the top 10 is good. Now, obviously, we had a LastPass and all those things that happened, but again, frankly, it's still better than having no password. Same with hardware key. It costs like $20, $25, maybe $10. I don't know. You can get offers, but use hardware key wherever possible. Use Authenticator, Google Authenticator, right? That's pretty much about it. Get off the family plans. Your risk profile is different from other people in your family. Yes, you are saving $10, $20, but that's not worth it. And so these are a couple of things. Spendy, I think if a person can spend just $100, they can be secure among the 99.99% of the people. What the problem happens is that people go into too much security, and I think this is a fault of mine and everyone in cybersecurity. We make it too difficult for people to do it. It's like, you get up in the morning, you don't have to eat anything with this calories, right? And you have to do exercise like this much. And personally, man, like, this is difficult. But if you say, hey, man, don't just avoid rice and Coke for the next 1 month, sugar and rice. It's easy, right? Like, it's easy. People can remember that. But if you go too complicated, people forget about it. So my advice to people is just start using password manager, set up a 2FA, use a hardware key. Obviously, if you want to go further, you can use our service. But even if you don't want to use our service, just try to get rid of everything on your phone plan. That's pretty much about it. It costs half an hour and you're done.
So how do you talk about this like security awareness with maybe some of your clients that aren't as technically savvy, that don't understand the attacks? How do you communicate those risks and the benefits to being more secure to those particular people?
Right, with cybersecurity, it's always difficult because people always think they're not going to be the one who hackers come after. They're not interesting enough, right? That's a common thing. And they'll say, I'll do it tomorrow, and that tomorrow never comes, right? Because they may delay, but the hackers do not come in. So how do we do that? We just say, hey, man, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my own time. How critical it is for you? Do you want me to tell you about it, or you don't want to be heard about it, right? Like, you can't go to everyone on the store and say you should start doing exercise while you're running a gym. That doesn't work that way. You say, man, I think you look like you're out of shape. Do you want to get back into shape or not? And the reason I'm giving this example is because that's just easy for people to remember. I believe there's a risk. So we have built a number scan where you can put your telephone number, and it's like a credit score. You put your telephone number, it basically tells you a number score. And the way it does it basically fetches information from all databases, and it tells you like how much is linked to your telephone number. So if you tell me your telephone number, I can tell you your credit score, how much credit cards you have, like how much, which credit cards do you have, what is the limit on those, right? So where do you live, which school did you go to, which social media you have, right? And then we show them a couple of videos, like, this is what happens to people every day. It happens. FBI said that, Princeton University said that, and this is okay. And people still don't want to listen that, we are not in the business of, like we can, when I went to college, so I went to military college, Air Force, they said, you can teach monkey of flying as well. It's just going to take a lot of time, right? So, and similar with any business that you have, you cannot convince everyone in the world. You say, is this something that of your interest? So within 5 minutes, if you can engage them, it's called. If not, you just move on. Like for us, we just say, on the rank of 1 to 10, do you want to hear about mobile security? And they say no, right? Like, that's can you afford to spend money on it, right? And that basically tell you if they're your client or not, and then move on. So would we be able to secure everyone? Absolutely not. Actually, there's a likelihood that we are not the right fit for majority of the people. So we just say, first of all, you're not my customer, but I'm just giving you good advice, but only I'll proceed if you want to listen to that. I want to act immediately, and then that's about it. Otherwise, the challenge with our industry is that we don't want to scare someone. Like, it's become like, okay, man, like it's like a snake oil, or this person scaring me for no reason. Like, if I come to you, Chris, you're going to hack tomorrow, you lose everything. You say, man, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Right? Or you're going to die tomorrow, right? Like, if you don't take this pill. And at the same time, you have to tell them that this is happening, and this happened to a similar person like you. Like, if Ryan, this person used to live in this area, he looked like you, that's what happened to him. Do you want to hear a story or something? Stories are very powerful. But cybersecurity is tough, and it will keep on getting tougher and tougher, because average consumers do not, like LifeLocks. If you look at the campaigns, they used to bring people who were getting hacked. They lost everything. And that's the worst example of people you want to listen. So how do you make it that it doesn't look like you're scaring people too much, but at the same time educating them on? Because the challenge is that I tell them, if Ryan get hacked, right, it impacts me directly or indirectly, because I'm making hacker more powerful, because now he has more money because he has taken Ryan money. But if I can stop on Ryan, even though he's the most vulnerable, he doesn't have an incentive to proceed. So the more people get secure, the better it is. Like, you capture a country, you start with the area that you can capture easily, and then you keep on growing towards the bigger war issue. And our competition is even cybersecurity. Our competition is not other cybersecurity company. Our competition is the hacker. As long as every company makes their job better, we just become better, good at it.
We talk about that a lot at our company, because a lot of, you're saying the same thing, so I'm preaching to the choir, but we see a lot of companies in this space like to use that FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt in their sales pitches. So we really hate that. We don't like to use that. Now, we do tell stories, and we do talk about statistics, right? We talk about how much money is lost to cybercrime and things like that. But I don't like to paint, we're not the life insurance salesman that likes to say, what would you do if your husband died tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like that kind of sales pitch to me always feels so dirty, it feels so wrong.
Yeah.
We're saying things like when we talk about cybersecurity, I love what you just said. Ryan and I often put stories about things that we've done as part of our job into our speeches, right? So when we're talking about it, somebody can be hearing this and think, oh, that sounds like something I would have fallen for. And you're telling a story and you're not doing it when this dummy did that. Like we're never using that kind of language. We're trying to make education something that people want and not have to feel ashamed for needing, because we all need it, right? I mean, I loved your message. You said just a minute ago, you were a victim of SIM swapping 4 times. Well, you know what? I've sent 19 million fish in my career, and I fell for a phishing email, right? So it's like, I think we need to tell those stories that here are people like you. This is what you do. You're in cybersecurity. You're an InfoSec professional, but you were a victim of a crime, an InfoSec crime. So I think those stories are important for people to hear because it humanizes it, and it makes it, not that it's okay that it happened, but it makes it more normal that, hey, you fell for this. I fell for this. We can all be victims.
And all doctors, doctors die too. It doesn't mean if you're a doctor, you will not die, right?
Right.
That's like something, that athlete died too. Like that athlete was super fit, he died. And yes, but the chances of athlete dying are much lesser than a person who's who eats McDonald's every day. Accident, people are very ruthless driver and they basically do rash driving, but some never had accident. Some people are very careful, they still have an accident. It's just about ratio. You can't pick 2 extremes. And again, it's a tough job to educate people because people don't see immediate value immediately, because something that it's like a goalkeeper, right? You can save 100 goals per day, but if you miss a 1 goal, people talk about that 1 goal. Ryan, you missed that 1 goal. Or Chris, remember that 1 penalty kick that you missed? Dude, I've been saving since morning, right? But in our case, we just say, man, people say nothing happened to me, so why should I pay you? And that's exactly what you're paying. So nothing happens.
So nothing happens.
It's hard to show return on investment on security in that manner because you're betting that nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Correct. And with cyber, it's like insurance. You own the day you need it is the day you need it.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, you're just paying. Man, why I'm paying for insurance every day? I'm paying $100, $200 per month for nothing. But
if you ever need it, you'll be really happy, right?
But it's one of these things. Okay, man, I wish I never use it, but I'm paying for it.
Right. No, I'm 100% with you. I hate paying for insurance, but I was really happy when my wife got pregnant that we had it. Because given I had friends who had to give birth with no insurance, and you have a much different experience having a baby in a hospital when you are insurance free as when you have a good policy.
100%. It's like a car too, right? When you pay for a car insurance, you don't want. So it's.
I don't want to ever use it.
You don't ever use it, but you said, man, why I'm paying for it?
Yeah. Yep.
Think about you buy a ticket to for a movie, but you say, I wish if I never have to watch that movie or something. It's the own service that you want to pay for it, but at the same time, you wish you never have to use it.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that the focus that you're putting on for SIM swapping, I think is really important, because I don't think enough, like you were talking about before, the telcos just see it as a risk reward scenario where the people that are being affected by it see it very differently. And being able to at least bring focus to that attack, I think is really important. So I'm really glad that you're taking your personal experience and you're focusing on this attack. And hopefully that focus will start to draw the other telcos around and start to have them focus a little bit more and understand that maybe it's better for their revenue if their people aren't being hacked like that.
So I spoke to them. So I'll give you an example. I've been told T-Mobile has been hacked. I make a joke that every year Christmas comes, the T-Mobile hack comes too, right? So it's like taxes, right? What's common? Taxes, death, and T-Mobile hack. That's pretty much.
Well, there goes our T-Mobile sponsorship. No, just kidding. We don't have one.
But I'm just saying, people do not care, right? Verizon was hacked 2 months ago, right? Verizon was hacked I think in October, the entire database got breached. but they don't they're not like someone will stop using their business.
Right.
People still use their business, and it's like Tesla. I have an accident, I think 2 days ago. People don't care about those things, right?
Right.
It's very hard to people to switch from those services.
Yeah, Tesla drove off a cliff.
Yeah, I know.
On its own with a family in it.
Correct.
And then their sales went up, right? And
yeah.
Like, what the heck,
Yeah.
right?
They all survived.
Right, yeah. Elon meant it to be a submarine also.
Yeah, I know, eh? They were just right. It's like crypto, right? A lot of companies, when we say, companies are going bankrupt, their token goes up. I said, what the hell is this, right? It doesn't make any sense at all, right? Yeah. Companies basically have filed for bankruptcy and then going up. So all the things do not impact regular people. Like I was planning to go on a cruise, and then people say, oh, we don't want to cruise because we want to be stuck because of COVID and all those things. Man, who cares, right? Like I personally love that. Everyone has a different risk profile, and they look at things differently. And so I believe is that for careers, it does not matter. Like what's the cost for? Well, you're purely talking from an economic point of view. If you look at a coffee, like you want to buy to McDonald's, yes, the burger could be better, right? But do they make more money if the burger is better? If not, why should they spend money on that? It doesn't matter, right? Like, can they put less ice on a Coke? They will only make a financial decision. If it makes sense, they will do it.
So, Haseeb, for people listening to this podcast, if you had to give them 2 or 3 tips, 2 or 3 things that companies should start doing right now to implement some security, what would you give them?
I just think that, frankly, it's like lawyer. You don't want to have a bad lawyer. So bad lawyer will cost you more than your saving fees, right? So cybersecurity is complicated, but frankly, those all jargons are like complicated. Everyone have a different risk profile. Just ask what's the basic thing. So I'll tell you, I use a password manager, use a hardware key, or like UB key, whatever you want to use, like Titan key. There are like dozens of them. Don't complicate your life in, which one should I use? Which one have better? And just start off right away. And put an authenticator on your phone, like a Google Auth or something. And that's about it, right? These are 3 or 4 tips.
Perfect.
Like try to delete your number as much as possible.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm happy to send you a book. But these are like 4 or 5 things that you can do.
No, I love it.
Which will take you less than $100 and probably will last you forever.
Yeah. So we have password manager, hardware key, don't overcomplicate, and use an authenticator.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. So, Haseeb, if you had to recommend a book, and it doesn't even be about this topic, right? We don't care about this topic. It could be just something that you read that you really loved. What book or books would you say you've enjoyed?
So one thing I write a lot about my personal self is like, about my personal growth as well as a personal relationships. Like, what I think is that I personally can improve a lot of my communication. And so if any book that has to do with how to improve your communication, leadership skills, right? And other book I like is 0 to 1. And 0 to 1 is by Peter Thiel. And the reason I like this book is that is because it talks about like, being for one person, like, have a monopoly. Like you don't want to be like, for everyone. As a business owner, we always make a mistake. We're for everyone. So we just say, hey man, if your net worth is below this thing, and if you're not our client, we're not the right fit for you, right? That's a pretty simple thing. So we just say you have to be a specific professional. Like we focus on law firms, and like our one niche is we work with all the M&A lawyers. So our thinking is we want to get 80% of the network, 80% of the market share of merger and acquisition lawyers in Florida. They should all be using us. That's basically our success criteria. And then we'll go after injury lawyers, just to give you an example, right? We have a hypothesis. We just say that this is all what we do. Our messaging become better, business become better, everything become better. So that's the book that talks about in 0 to 1.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And if people want to find out more about you, if they want to follow you, if they want to know more about what you're doing next, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you or to follow your work?
Twitter is pretty good. LinkedIn, Twitter. Haseeb it's my username, HASEEB. And similarly, they can find, if they forget about what we do, just type secure mobile service and we'll be number 1. They type your phone. If wherever they forget anything with the security mobile, they add it and they should find us.
Okay. And I'll make sure we put your LinkedIn and Twitter and other links in the show notes. So if anyone wants to reach out and talk to Haseeb, you could find all the links to there, as well as the link to the book that was mentioned and the nice tips that we got from Haseeb today. Thank you for coming on the show today and spending some time with us and talking about this. Your origin story is quite fascinating. And it's always nice to find professionals who are openly willing to talk about some of the problems they've had in their lives. I think that humanizes it and it makes it easy for people to accept our advice when we give it. So thanks for being a great guest on the show today.
Thanks, Chris and Ryan. And again, if anyone wants to reach out, frankly, there's a 99% chance we cannot serve you. We are not the right fit for you. But I'm happy to direct you to the right person and tell them who they want to talk to.
That's always good too. Yeah, that happens with us a lot. Sometimes we get we seem to focus on really large organizations, and we'll get companies with like 20 or 30 people, and they want phishing, and we can't help them. So we do the same thing. We refer them to friends that deal with smaller companies. So all the time so that's nice that you'll do that. So I appreciate that message.
Yeah, happy because again, one day they may become our customer. Hopefully, they make it one day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to this another episode of the Security Awareness Series of the Social Engineer Podcast. We'll come back next month with another amazing professional and learning some more tips and tricks. Until then, stay safe and see you.